Good afternoon, class. Thank you. You can sit down. All right, then today we'll be looking at how to solve the quadratic equation using the graph. But first, we have to look at the homework that you had to do. Okay, some of you will come and show the graphs on the board and answer the questions that follow. So we are still looking at the parabola. Okay, and yesterday, in the previous lesson, we said a parabola is the same shape as the path of a ball thrown into the air. If you and a friend threw the ball at each other, the path that the ball follows is the same as the shape of the parabola. Okay, we can also obtain the parabola by plotting ordered pairs from a quadratic function. I mentioned that in the previous lesson already. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, on to the homework. The first group had to plot y equals x squared plus 2x plus 1, 4 minus 3, 2, positive 3. Can you come and show your graph to the class and answer the questions that follow? Group 1.
Question 2C. Y equals x squared
Turn around.
plus 2x plus 1. We drew the parabola on the graph and the y-intercept is 0 and positive 1. The x-intercept is negative 1 and 0, and the coordinates of the vertex, which is the turning point, is negative 1 and 0.
The equation of the line of symmetry is taken from this axis here, where x is equal to negative 1. And the range of values of x when the graph is positive is, and x is less than negative 1, or x is greater than negative 1.
Question F, they ask for the range of value of x when the graph is negative. There is no range of value of x when the graph is negative, because the vertex point doesn't exit 0 into the y at the negative zone of the y-axis.
Okay, good. Group 1. All right, you will note for letter F, they are correct because the graph doesn't go below the x-axis. So there is no answer to letter F. The y values are only positive and also 0. Okay, just have a look at the equation, just for interest. X squared plus 2x plus 1. Can you factorize x squared plus 2x plus 1 for me, please? Someone? X squared plus 2x plus 1. One person? Pon relay?
X plus 1 times x plus 1.
Okay, x plus 1 times x plus 1, or x plus 1 squared. Okay, if I make this equal to 0, that point is actually this point where y is equal to 0, because remember when we looked at straight lines, y equal to 0 at the x-intercept. The same applies to all the graphs. Y is equal to 0 at the point where the graph cuts the x-axis. Now, you all know how to solve quadratic equations. If we were to solve this, what is the answer to this? What's the answer to x plus 1 squared equal to 0? X equals -1. Okay, you will also note that is the point where the graph cuts the x-axis. It's -1. If there is any graph where you have a square when you factorize, it will always turn around. It will always have a turning point along the x-axis. For instance, if you were asked to plot y equals x plus 4 squared, just by looking at this, where do you think the turning point is going to be? -4, 0. Okay, like this one is y equals x plus 1 squared. The turning point is at -1, 0. If we plot y equals x plus 4 squared, the turning point is going to be at -4, 0. Okay, so all equations where they are squares, you factorize and they are squares, they will all turn around, they'll have the turning point along the x-axis. Okay, well done, group 1. Next group, group 2.
Y equals x minus 3 multiplied by x plus 1 is, we expanded it into the quadratic equation, and y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. We got the values. The y-intercept is 0 and -3. The x-intercepts are -1, 0, and 3 and 0. What are the coordinates of the vertex? The coordinates of the vertex are 1 and -4. The equation of the line of symmetry is where the turning point is. Therefore, x equals 1. And the range of values of x for which the graph is positive, x is less than -1, or x is greater than 3, and the range of values of x for which the graph is negative is -1 is less than x, which is less than 3.
Okay, good. Group 2, well done. Next group, group 3. Did they do that in pencil? Yeah.
For letter E, the equation is y equals to x squared minus 4x. And first of all, we did a table. And we entered the values. And then we plotted it on a graph. Okay, where y, the y-intercept is 0, 0. Here. The x-intercepts are -2 and 0 and 4 and 0. The turning point is 2 and -4. So, okay, the range of x values where y is negative, 0 is less than x, and x is less than x is less than 4.
Is he that shy?
Okay, the range of x values where y is positive is x is less than 0 or x is greater than 4. Equation of the line of symmetry is where the turning point is, where x equals to 2.
Okay, the answer to A is 0, 0. The answer to B, the x-intercept, one of them is not really correct. Have a look at the graph. Your graph is correct. The x-intercept is the point where the graph cuts the x-axis. It can't be -2 because -2 is here. It has to be 0, 0. Okay. So this is 0, 0, 0, 0, and 4, 0. The turning point 2 minus -4, good. The values for x where y is negative is from 0 to +4, or all the values greater than 0 but less than 4. 0 is less than x, which is less than 4. And when y is positive, x is less than 0, x is greater than 4. Okay, the equation of the axis of symmetry is supposed to be the answer to letter D. So it's supposed to be A, B, C, D, E, N, F. Okay, well done, group 3. Group 4. How come only one person?
For question 2F, this is how we draw this parabola line here. Okay. The equation is y equals to x squared plus x plus 1. And question for A, for the y-intercept is equals to 0 is to 1, which is this point,
0, 1.
0, positive 1. That's where parabola pass through the y-axis. And for x-intercept, because there is the parabola did not pass over the x-axis, so therefore we cannot take x-intercept here in this graph. Coordinates of vertex are minus, half, and 3/4, which is this one.
Good.
Coordinates of vertex, which is this point, minus half and 3/4. Equation of the symmetry is x equals to minus half. If we draw a line straight down this way, we can that we can call it as a symmetry. So therefore, we take this one as a symmetry.
Line of symmetry.
That symmetry is x equals to minus half. Range of x values when y is positive is x is less than minus half or x is less than minus half or x is greater than minus half. Yes. Okay. For f, range of x values when y is negative, we cannot take that range of x values because the parabola did not pass through the x-axis. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gabriel. Just one mistake. All right, they've done well in calculating the vertex, which is minus a half, 3/4. For this one, the range of x values when y is positive, you find that even on the table of values, all the values for y are positive. So for this one, it will be all the x values, all the real numbers. There is no value for x when y is negative. So for this, the answer to this will be all real values of x. Because even at the turning point, which is minus a half, the y value is 3/4. Okay, so all numbers, all x values will give a positive graph. Is that clear? All right, letter G. Group 5. Just make sure they don't fly away.
For G, the parabola graph, the turning point is not given. It's not on the axis, so to obtain the turning point, we use half of 1, which is half. And we substitute x for the equation, y equals 1 plus x minus x squared, and we got 1 1/4. 1 1/4. Question A reads, what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is this one, 0 and 1. The x-intercept is, the x-intercepts are negative half and 0, and 2 and 3, which is 1 1/2, 1 and 0. And the coordinates of the vertex is it's half and 5 and 4, which is 1 1/4.
The equation of the line of symmetry is x is equal to a half there. The range of x values where y is positive, negative a half is less than x, it's also less than 3 on 2 or 1 1/2. Where y is negative, x is greater than negative a half, or x is greater than 3 on 2.
Okay, for this question, for this graph, y equals 1 plus x minus x squared. If you have a look at the x-intercepts, they said it's minus a half 0 and 1.5 0. Okay, can you tell me a way to prove whether that's correct or not? I mentioned it in the first, after the first group came and showed us their graph. How would you actually work out, if you are not sure from the graph, what the x-intercepts are? Pond relay?
Substitute y for 0.
And then?
Solve the equation.
Okay, solve the equation. So how will you solve 1 plus x minus x squared equals 0? How would you solve 1 plus x minus x squared equals 0? What type of equation is this? Quadratic equations. How many quadratic equation? How many methods did we learn on how to solve quadratic equations? 4. Name one. Patrick, the first method of solving quadratic equations. Quick.
Completing squares. Completing the square.
Completing the square. Good. Second one. Daniel.
Using the quadratic formula.
Using the quadratic formula. Can you give me the quadratic formula?
X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
Good. The third one. The third method on how to solve quadratic equations. Jake.
Vectorization.
Vectorizing. Good. 3 only, and you told me 4. What's the fourth one? I only know 3. You must know one that I don't know. Okay. We are going to look at the next one, which is using the graph. We're actually doing that right now. Okay, so I know 4, but I've taught you 3 so far. We're doing the third one. Sorry, the fourth one. Okay, so I have to solve this equation to try and prove that the x-intercepts are at minus a half and 3 on 2. Okay, if I use the quadratic formula, I get minus b, which is 1, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times what is a? Negative 1. C is 1, and A is negative 1, so negative 1 multiplied by 2 will give negative 2. If you wanted to, you could actually change this equation over to the other side, and this one will be positive, and this one will also be, it will be positive. Okay, this will be negative. What happens that you will still get the same answer? Minus 1 plus or minus 1 minus negative 4 will be 5 over negative 2. Okay, we are going to get 2 answers. One will be minus 1 plus root 5 over negative 2, or minus 1 minus root 5 over negative 2. Can we just check what the answers will be? 2, 1 decimal place. What do we get here? Plus or minus? Minus, are you sure? 0.62. And here? Is it also negative? It can't be, because minus over minus will be positive. You get a minus value here is the numerator and a minus here, so it has to be 1.62. Okay, you will note their answers are actually very close because they had to take it from the graph. This is minus 0.5, which is very close to minus 0.6. 3 on 2 is 1.5, which is also very close to 1.6. Okay, but the actual answers will be minus 0.62 and 1.62. If they had used a grid that's got the small lines, they would have estimated this one correctly. But because there are no smaller grids. Okay, the coordinates of the vertex are half, 5 on 4, which is 1 1/4. Equation of the line of symmetry, x equals a half. The range of the x values when y is positive. Okay, it's between this point and this point. Okay, so it should be minus 0.62 here and 1.62 here. And where y is negative, x is greater than, is it x is greater than minus a half? Have a look. Where y is negative. It's this section here, this one, and this one. Less than. This is correct. But then it will have to be 1.62, but because they've got that as 3 on 2 here, that's why. So it should be x is less than minus 0.62. Okay, should be less than and not greater than. Okay, so is this clear? Any questions? No? Okay, I've actually taught a lesson that I was going to teach today on solving equations because I mentioned it. Solving quadratic equations using the graph. And this is the fourth way of solving quadratic equations. It's not the easiest way. It's a very long method because first, if you are asked to solve, let's say 0 equals x squared plus 4x from the graph, you would have to plot the graph y equals x squared plus 4x, which I have done from minus 5 to positive 1. All right, this is the graph of y equals x squared plus 4x. I just substituted the values quickly into the equation and I got the graph. Okay, if we answer these questions from the graph, if you were to find the minimum y value or the minimum value for y, what you would do is get it from the turning point. If the graph is upside down, it will give a maximum value for y. If the graph is upright like this, it will give a minimum value. And you take it from the turning point. So the turning point here is when x is minus 2. When x is minus 2, what is y according to the graph? Negative 4. So the minimum y value is when y is equal to negative 4. Again, you take it from the turning point, from the vertex. Okay, find the equation of the axis of symmetry. We all know that. X equals negative 2, because that's the same as the x coordinate of the turning point. And to solve the equation, all you have to do is take the solutions. It might be 1, it might be 2 from the x-intercepts. So in this case, what are the x-intercepts? Chutaili, from the graph?
The x-intercepts are 0, 0, and negative 4, 0.
Okay, 0, 0, and negative 4, 0. So because you are solving, you will have to say x equals 0 or x equals negative 4. You will note if I want to factorize that, I get x times x plus 4, and that's the same as x equals 0 or x plus 4 equals 0. X here will be equal to negative 4 and x will be equal to 0. So the solutions are actually related to the x-intercept, because when you solve, you are actually making y equal to 0, and that is the point on the x-axis. That's the point where the graph cuts the y-axis. So that's why the solutions to the quadratic equations will be related to the, or they're exactly the same as the x-intercept. Is that clear? Okay, that's what you are going to do for homework. You've got 2 questions. Exercise 3.2, question 1, question 2, I think 3 questions. Right, the third question is plot the graphs of y equals 2x plus 2 and y equals minus x squared plus x plus 6 for minus 3 to positive 4. And then answer the questions that follow. All right, the key word to the pilot teacher is analyze. Good afternoon, class. Thank you.